Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. We're in Paleo Village over here in North Carolina, and there's a few of these cool head statues. You can see it just looks like a skull sitting out of the ground right there. There's quite a few of these head statues just hanging out all over the place. There's one actually right behind it as well. You can see they're all over, and if you're not seeing any of them, stick with us for a minute. I'll show you a few. Right now, though, before we get too far into that, let's look at a few of these. Well, they're kind of like spear points, you can see. They call them prismatic shards oftentimes, but they resemble birds whenever you point them up and down in different ways. Let's go ahead and take a look at a different version of it, but you can see how the head is kind of carved into like a little bit of a wedge there. This bird is a little tougher to see, so let me show you on this one. It's another version of the same kind of thing, and just on the very end of it, got little duck heads and bird heads there. You can see the way the beak swoops up, and especially when you point it away, you can see how the line is there for the beak. In different shadows and in different lights, that bird face, you'll be able to see the texture in the cheek and the eye right there with actually a big diamond around it. You guys can see that pretty clearly, I hope. So it might be a goose in flight. You know how goose have the long necks? It's kind of what it looks like there. And then on this side, it could just be a duck. And then in different directions and in different ways, it'll be different things. So this is a really nice one. It does have a pretty great eye carving, you can see, as you see the eclipse or ellipse, I guess it's called, for the eye. And then whenever you tilt it up, you can actually see the details for it. So tilting it over here, you can perhaps see a little smiley face and the nose with the nostril come out. It's going to be that all over from top to bottom on this weird little totem here. And some of them are going to face right at us as well. They made probably one or two of them at least. So you guys are seeing this one up here so I'm looking at the textures of the stone, and I see how this section is smooth. I can see the eye right there, the little spot for it, and I can see how this pointy nose, or this part, would be the nose. So of course there's tons of them, all these little carvings that you see how it gets rougher up here. There's just more faces up there. As weird as it sounds, here's another piece of pottery. We've been finding a lot of pottery lately, and at first I didn't think this was an artifact. Now that I've started to look at it, both sides of it, I've come to the conclusion they packed and pressed crystals and rocks in there where the eye would be. You guys can see the mouth probably poking out, and then upside down you'll see some other ones. Just looking at this as the eye though, you can see how the nose is there, and he has this hat. This is actually a meme, this corner hat, believe it or not. It does just look like a piece of postal, and if you don't think it's an effigy, just stick with me. I didn't think so either at first. So they were taking things, as we know, and that's why I don't think some of this stuff is as old. You can see the carving for the eye very well. This pottery stuff, it's very easy to see the images there. You can see how, in the shadows especially, and if you look closely on the top, there's see all these little circles and markings? It's all little designs in there for the headdress of this weird goblin fella here. You guys can see the nose and this big circle eye, hopefully. You may be seeing different eyes though, and there's different silhouettes as well the more we turn it. And then upside down as well, there'll be some. So I don't blame you for not being able to see it at first, but now you guys are seeing it, I'm sure. All right. That's a good one. Of course, we're looking at the nose being here. So if the stuff's not super old, I mean, they could have very easily made this themselves with their own cement. We know that they had plenty of different cements. But if the stuff isn't, sometimes I find glass and things in here as well. Not necessarily all the way in the clay pack though. So some of that stuff could have floated in easily. But I don't know that this stuff is super, super, super old. I just don't feel it. I think they were keeping track of their history and mammoths and things. Maybe It does go back to the date of the mammoth. Maybe the mammoth has been, you know, the date of the extinction of the mammoth is kind of exaggerated. Maybe we don't really know what happened past 2,000 years ago. Just an idea. Anyway, what else we have? I'm just babbling. This is a representation of Squirrel Girl. This is a little plaquette, and it does have a nice little blade on it. You can see the curved blade. And if you look closely, there's lines inside of it. And this is a reoccurring character that we have called Squirrel Girl. And I'll go ahead and make those lines pop out through the shadows here a little better. And could be just a soldier as well. This isn't pottery, I believe this is rock. You can see that the huge edge on it. Now, some people would just call this an incised stone or a stone with scrapings and markings on it and stuff, when in actuality, this is a head statue, a piece of art. This inside here, maybe not on the very edge, but if you look in the interior, there's little micro carvings, and each one of those lines is representing different faces and people on this in different ways that you flip it. You may start to see some of them poke out. So there are paintings as well. If this was dry, we'd be able to see them, but awesome. Thanks for joining me for that, guys. There's also a really neat crystal here that I found glowing. So I thought maybe we could take a peek at it now that it's dried off a little bit. Really neat. Might be mammoth over here. Might be person. I thought I saw some pretty good, cool images. These ones are usually kind of neat. They're little good exercises. It's a very dark section. Could be a Squirrel Girl again. I'm gonna do a video on Squirrel Girl in case you guys don't know who I'm talking about. It's time to do another one on her. So I've got so many more now. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great one, and thanks for joining me. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.